Don't gotta explain myself.
Welcome again, everyone, to another episode of DGXM podcast with Dea and Rock. We are so excited to bring to you today someone in the music scene who's really been revolutionizing American and Albanian music, who's been bringing a new twist to your favorites and your classics, and he's known as DJ Jack.
DJ Jack.
DJ Jack.
What's up, guys? What's going on?
What's going on, bro? How you doing?
Welcome.
Same old, same old. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it, Dea, Rock. Rock actually know you for a long time. Dea, we've met through social media, which we've been getting to know each other well. But thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
So excited.
I'm excited.
Jack, or DJ Jack, I'll use your art and your theater name.
Jack, DJ Jack, whatever. Mustad, whatever you want to call me. It's all good.
So many of us have heard your music at Albanian weddings, gatherings, fundraisers, parties, etc. in the New York scene. But before we go into your background and how you ascended into the scene of music and became the DJ and really producer that you are today, we want to start out with understanding your roots and kind of where you came from, where you started out, because we know your story has been on the makes and in the making for a while, since 2006, actually, when you entered this game. So we'll start out with some fun.
Making me feel old, Dea.
Yeah, I mean, 2016, of course,
Yeah, he's
for
one of the
sure.
originals, for sure.
Originals and OG.
Yeah.
But DJ Jack, who are you? What are your ties to Albania? And how do you relate yourself to the Albanian community?
Well, like you said, I've been doing this for a long time. It's going on to 18 years now. But the beginning of where I started was kind of just like, hey, I really love Albanian music. At first, I didn't really care for it. I'm going to be honest with you. When I was younger, like I'm born in America, like you're like, take this off when you're hearing it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of it at the time was pretty old school, you know? It wasn't really up to date. And then when I heard the music, I'm like, wow, the music is actually, you start falling in love with it as you get older. So I was like 15 going on 16. And I'm like, how do I upgrade this or make it more fun? And I'm like, so I started dabbling online and just looking at how to remix or edit music in general of like what you can do to enhance it, right? So I did that and I played around and I sucked. I was terrible. If you guys hear my first original remixes, like I have them, I'll never show anybody. They're not good. Right?
From in this clip, so you can click on them. And find them.
Maybe I'll give you guys one, but
You gotta give us like a snippet.
I used to show it to my family. And I'm like, what do you guys think? They're like, it's great. And I'm like, you guys lied to me. Like, you guys straight up lied. But you know what? It was great because they would listen to it and they would motivate me to keep going and do it. And then I would go on albanianmusic.com. So we had albanianmusic.com back then, where you would buy CDs, right?
Okay.
Like through their website. And they had like a forum where you would talk. Like now it's like we do podcasts and TikTok and Instagram. We had forums where we would talk with each other, right? So everybody had their username or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just post one of these mixes on albanianmusic.com and see what people think about it, even though I should have never did that because they weren't that great. But to people, they started loving it, right? And everybody started obviously getting into it. And that's kind of what I was like, all right, you know, people are liking it. I'm just going to continue doing it, you know? But as far as just being Albanian, it was like you talked it at home, right? You spoke it if whatever you knew. I used to go to my family's from Montenegro, so we're Albanians from Montenegro. So I would go to Montenegro, right? And I would go visit family, and that's how we learned to speak Albanian. Because at home, our parents would speak to us, and we would hate to respond back, you know. But once you started going over there, you had to talk it because my uncle, my grandmother, they all spoke it, you know. So I learned it very well when I was young. And then I didn't go for a while and I kind of lost it a little bit. But because I was in the scene of Albanian weddings and music and dealing with Albanians, I had no choice but to continue speaking it. So it was a struggle because like you would speak it with them, but then you would go home and you wouldn't speak it as much, you know? Like your parents would say it, but for me, I didn't personally like just keep speaking Albanian. It wasn't my thing, you know, like I wasn't comfortable with it, but when I was younger, I was a little comfortable with it. That's pretty much it.
What was your username on the forum? Albanian Eagle 326.
I think it was just DJ Jack. I don't remember. I'd have to actually go back into some screenshots. I'm still in touch with some of the original owners of that, so they might have some cool things. I used to have a radio show on there. I used to pre-record it. It's not like podcasts now. You would pre-record them, so I would pre-record a radio show. I would have like little topics that I would talk about. So I was always part of the community in some form, and that's kind of how I got my first gig. Actually, it was one of the guys from Albanians.com. His name was Nick Nikai. Shout out to Nick. He was one of the first people to be like, "Hey Jack, why don't you come DJ at the Albanian Church Carnival that we have in New York?" And I'm like 15, 16 years old. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, you know, but my mom, my sisters, my brother, everybody was like, go do it, because how are you going to start, you know? So I was forced to buy actual DJ equipment, like a mixer, you know. Wow. And I went and I got it, and I did, because at first I was just dabbling with, like doing it through programs. So I wasn't really DJing live. And back then you had the choice. You either did CDs or you did like, actual discs, like turntables, but they don't have Albanian music for like turntable kind of stuff. So I had to get CDs. So I got a CD DJ, right? And you would put the CDs in, you would have to like kind of just match the beats or whatever. So I got my first gig at the Albanian Church Carnival. There was about probably 700-800 people there.
That's a big first gig.
Why does it feel like
I almost shit myself.
And that's how you started. You just got shot into the scene. And they said,
literally, I just went 15 years old. I set up whatever speakers I bought. I set up the DJ thing. I practiced maybe for like a month, maybe. And I went in there and I just played what I had and what I knew, and like the songs I liked and the songs I thought were good to play for the youth. And then you started meeting people, people started, they knew you from like the forums, or they knew you from like your music. And then I'm like, but like, how do I get these songs out there? And at the time there was MySpace. So I used to put mixes there on MySpace, because you used to have MySpace music, right? I feel really old talking about this.
That's how I first found out about him, was through MySpace music.
There you go. Like, I feel old saying that, because now like people with MySpace, like, really, you were on MySpace? I'm like, yeah. Like,
but it shows that you were one of the original founders of this completely.
For sure.
Yeah, so
DJ world, I never knew another DJ that was doing Albanian music besides him.
It's funny because I was talking to one of my friends, and he was like, I thought you were like a 30-year-old dude when I heard your name. Like, he was like, people would say DJ Jack, or like they thought I was older, Then when they met me, they saw it was just this young teenage kid. People get confused, because they're like, why would this 16-year, 17-year-old be doing Albanian mixes? Like, it was weird for people to hear that, because like, you're born in America, you're not over there, you have no reason to actually do that. But I did it, I just loved it.
And that time there wasn't also too many Albanians in America that were making music, besides like
not really
Katili and a couple of these like rappers and things like this. So it was like,
yeah, I mean, like, you're talking like traditional music. It was like Zimnika, right? Zimnika was here, right? We had Zimnika. We had a few singers. We had Grupi Bashkimi. We had these guys that were doing like live music and also CDs and making tracks, but they were making them over there, or making hits over there. And we would just get it here. Like I said, we had to get CDs from Albanians.com just to hear Albanian music here, or go to the Bronx, right? And get CDs from there. So that was our only way for access. So once I started putting music on MySpace Music, and you couldn't really, I don't think you could have downloaded tracks. I don't remember. Maybe you know better than me.
We used to download them no matter what, some way.
Yeah, right. Like somehow, like it's like I don't really remember how people used to get it, but they used to get my mixes from MySpace Music or from the forum, right? Because the forum had like a download thing. So then, people started obviously knowing who I was, and, they would put their MySpace song as my remix or whatever I made. And, I would get together with some of the guys that were doing music in the community, like Kreshnik Ametai, Lilidan Ulay, like all these guys that were in the music scene playing instruments or keyboard or whatever they were playing. We got together and we started making remixes, obviously in my room, my bedroom, So it's crazy to think about. Like, it started off in just forums and MySpace Music, and now we have just like this totally different thing now. So it's crazy.
Has there ever been any other musicians in your family like that did it?
No, not that I know of. I mean, my mom is a big music head. My dad loved obviously like old school, like Chitali, Dahoud, like music like that. But as far as they playing music or making music, there really isn't anybody in my family that's like have said that they've done it. We have talented people in my family that have played music, but nobody like from my like line, you know. It's like maybe like, you know, third, fourth cousins, whatever it is. Like my grandfather, my great grandfather, they were all like in war and stuff like that. They didn't, you know, I don't think they were into music like that.
I just find it so interesting how you mentioned that although you hadn't been set up on a DJ journey and you didn't grow up loving Albanian music, there came a point in your life where you were just catapulted into the scene and you readied yourself, even though you were born in America and you're from the diaspora, you're an Albanian from Montenegro as the age.
Yeah.
It's interesting how the cycles of life happen and you end up finding yourself exactly in the purpose you're supposed to serve. And you're not even born in Albania. And look at that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about, but you know what? It's like all my life since I started making remixes, music, dabbling in beats, whatever it was, I always saw Albanian music going viral in America. Like it's been a thing in my mind. Like I'm like, we're gonna hear Albanian music on the radio one day. Like it's something that I always said in my head. Like it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, you know? And that stuck with me, right? So I'm like, I'm just gonna keep doing this because obviously I made good money, obviously DJing, right? But that wasn't the big thing. The big thing was like the young people love what I'm doing and they're sticking with Albanian music because of it, right? Yeah, they're sticking with, oh, this is new, this is different, this is exciting, this is fun. And then you do these like little parties, like the church carnival or a wedding or whatever it is, a festival, and you see the people vibing together. Like back then, it was a little better than it is now, I'm gonna be honest. But you know, you went to the church and like, or you went to like any kind of event and everybody was together and everybody knew each other and they were just enjoying their time with the music I was playing, or like you got to like know each other and just, you know, friends for a long time. Like I know Rock, like I know we all started knowing each other. Now you ask if people know each other in the community, everybody acts like they don't know each other. You know, it's crazy. It's such a difference of what I'm seeing with the youth that's why I still do what I'm doing, because through the music and through social media I can kind of talk to them, you know.
A lot of people like that soloness now, but then they realize that they need people. Once they start like getting a little bit of traction, they realize that they need people, and then it's like, oh, now when you need the help.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like, you know, Rock, like we in New York, Connecticut, wherever, New Jersey, the tri-state area where all the Albanians are, Michigan, wherever they are, we're obviously going to be stronger together, and we're obviously going to be able to help each other way more if we obviously listen and, you know, support each other. But it did drift over the years, and I think COVID was one of the reasons why, especially now. I'm not going to blame the actual virus, but I'm going to blame us being away from each other and then getting comfortable being away from each other. And then you had social media, so you're like, oh, I don't even need to hit this person up, ask them if they're okay or they need help or they need support. It was like, I'm just going to do my own thing in my little house in my crib or whatever. And I think it took away from the parties, it took away from the events, it took away from the community, and we're feeling that today.
I still think people are still getting back into that rhythm, because even when I don't know if we should even say the word if it gets taken down on YouTube or not, but whatever. But even from
the panorama that happens.
Yeah.
The panoramic.
It's like it did take a hit on everything, because even for me musically, I stopped doing music completely during that time because I couldn't get into a studio. Personally, I don't mix and engineer. So for me, I'm an artist, I write, I perform, and for me to not be able to go into a studio, not be able to go perform anywhere, I was like, I'm losing it. That's what that felt like. So I feel
and it hurt the events too. Like, you know, you do the events and a lot of the kids got, I don't want to call them kids or whoever's like young, 18 to like 25. They got so used to like TikTok and being on like the phone that like they don't even know how to act when they're out. Because it's like it's like I was dancing in front of a camera, so like now that I'm out, I don't know what to do. Like I don't know how to, do I talk to this person? Oh, I know them, but like I don't want to say hi. You know, like it's weird. You know, it's weird for them, and I'm not blaming them because it did happen to everybody. But I'm just saying that we need to get back to that, because I remember those times where I would do those events and we would get those people out, and everybody it was just a good vibe. You know, it was positive. Like, I mean, you had your negatives always with the Albanian community, but like the positives outweighed that, I feel. And I don't know. I hope we get back to that. I'm just saying I don't feel the same with the events like I did back then.
I think it's definitely a transitionary period. And in a way, we're all being tested on the media front and on the creation human front, but in a good way, because I feel like this is the space and the time we need to deliver this message, to bring people together specifically. And what you're thinking about, 10,000 other people at the very least are also thinking about at the same time too. Everyone feels it. And I think when explaining a vision as a creator, as someone who is an artist, or just someone who has these big ideas, you said in your mind, even when you were younger, you knew Albanian music was going to go viral at one point in time. You felt it and you're kind of manifesting it in a way. There needs to be encouragement from the community. And when you're a visionary like that, you understand to a deeper extent, you can go fast if you go alone, but you can go much further if you go together. And I think it takes a certain level of intelligence when being in that field to understand that. And to understand that if you're collaborating, you're already past any form of competition. Now you're a trendsetter. And in order to be a trendsetter and influence culture and influence psychology and influence social interactions, you have to collaborate to be able to get your message out there. And I really see you and Rock and other Albanian artists, specifically in the music industry, doing that.
Yeah, and I was also talking to a friend that has a big social media page as well. He's also Albanian, and he was telling me like, I don't understand what it is with Albanians. They look at everybody as competition when really we should just be all kind of partnering up and pushing each other, because that's just going to make us all better and bigger as a community. So
I agree.
Well, so
I agree. When I did Hava, the video that I shot for Hava, the song with Nika Vaseli, that was one of the things I wanted to incorporate, was like, I'm going to hit all these people that are doing something in the community, trying to be creative, trying to make something.
But I was abroad in Jordan at the time for the music.
We did talk about that, and I was like, we're shooting it. I think it was like that weekend that you asked me.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I actually put it out there that I was doing the video because, like, I don't have to do that. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't have to say, hey, do you guys want to be a part of this? I really don't. Like, Rock knows, like, when you do something, you can just go and do it. You can get your people and put them in it, and don't put anybody on, and that's just how it goes, right? But I was like, what am I teaching the people if I'm doing that? If I'm not saying, hey, do you want to be a part of this? Do you want to get seen in this video or this song, right? Mm-hmm. So I asked the community to be a part of it. I asked creatives to be a part of it, right? Like, I got Drita, who is obviously great at what she does on TikTok. Didim, who is hilarious, you know? And then like a bunch of other people that are doing things. And like, you know, we had a girl, her name is Sam. She was a Miss Teen for CT. I don't know if you know Samantha Shkreli, but she's in the video as well. So like, I got all these people that wanted to be in the light, right? And I say the light because that's a light shining on you now. Now you're front and center in something that was supposed to be big, right? And I wanted to involve the community. That was one of the steps that I did, because I'm like, if I don't do that, then what am I accomplishing here by just doing it alone? Because now I'm adding people to it. I'm adding a singer that nobody really knew in the Albanian community. She's been doing music for a long time, like in America, right? But the Albanians didn't know that she was like, especially over there, like she gets hit up all the time from like people from Switzerland and Germany, like and Albania, Kosovo, like, you're amazing. You have to do another song in Albanian, right? And now it could be 10 people, right? It doesn't have to be a million. It could be 10, 20 people that heard her. And now it motivates her to be like, hey, I could do something with my community or with my music. So that's why I involve the community in it. Because I'm like Rock said, if we don't say like, hey, do you want to do this? Or like, do you want to collaborate? How the hell are we going to do it then? If we're not speaking up, if we're not actually trying to actually get together, maybe we're just like sneak dissing or like getting mad at somebody on the internet, like, oh, they don't share my stuff, I'm not gonna ask them, or they don't talk to me, I don't know, they don't say hi to me. Like, it's all that stuff is gotta end. Like,
it's ridiculous. It's not smart. It's not efficient.
It's not, and it doesn't do anything to like help us grow. Like, it really does absolutely nothing by doing that. You know, it's just hatred, it's negativity, and it's that vibe that like, I could do this alone, I don't need nobody, or I don't want anybody a part of it because they're going to take my shine, or they're going to do this, or they're going to backstab me. If we think of life like that, we'll never, ever get anything done. I promise.
Personally, when I started music, that was the one thing that I used to get flack for, because I used to be one of the only people that would literally, on a constant basis, I used to share other musicians while I was on my come up. And people used to message me like, don't share this person, don't share that person. Why are you sharing this person? I'm
I
like,
know. Trust me. I know.
I'm
I know.
like,
I've heard it.
Albanian. I'm just trying to support, you know? And
Yeah,
here I
I've
am
heard it.
still 10 years later, still doing the same thing. And I still
Listen,
get
there is a balance, right? Like you can share everybody, or you can pick and choose who you want to share, because not everybody deserves your share as well, right? Because you know there is a balance, and that's the problem. It's like you take it to an extreme, right? You got, I'm not going to share anybody's things because they don't share mine, or I'm going to share everybody's things, and it's like you share everybody's things, and then you get disappointed that they never shared yours, or you know the love isn't back or sent back to you, whatever it is. We got to find a balance, right? It's like, if you guys are doing a podcast and you're doing something amazing with this, and you're trying to get, you know, people to see the Albanian community outside of Albania and Kosovo and Montenegro, then you obviously need the support of the people, right? So if they're not supporting you and they never even try to support you, you're going to be like, you know what? I'm not going to get that person on the podcast, right? But then you do that, and now you lose your chance to get that, you know? So like, it's tough, you know, you got to pick and choose. There is a balance in this.
I agree. And I think I truly like your perspective of deciding to take a leadership role. And that was our whole initiative here. We didn't wait for anyone to tell us to do this. We built up the connections, we built up our miniature studios in different locations, and we used our platforms, which we've grown through hard work and through a lot of collaboration, a lot of networking, to put people on the spot to speak, specifically because we want to change the culture. And culture is not meant to be static. It's supposed to be changed. It's a verb, and it's constantly evolving in that same way too. So you don't need to really seek permission to be able to change the culture. You can just do it.
You don't gotta ask nobody nothing, just do it.
Exactly. And people receive that burst of inspiration they've been waiting for from you, because people are scared to. People are scared to change the culture, to innovate social engineering. People don't want to do that because it can come with potential repercussions. But when they see people doing it and doing it effectively and successfully, they'll say, okay, maybe if I try, it won't hurt me. Maybe it's a good thing in the end. And the wheels of motion get moving. So whether it's in music production,
I mean, it's fear, right? Like it's fear of being, you know, judged, or fear of being, you know, seen in a certain, you know, way or whatever. That fear, you know, fear isn't real. It's not a real thing, you know, and people make it more than it has to be. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to show people. It's like, you can go out there and they can call you cringy, and they can call you weird, and they can call you whatever it is that they call you. But I promise they don't have, excuse my language, the balls to go and do it themselves. So then why would you care?
Pretty much, yeah, you're
You
right.
know, because Rock has been doing music for a long time, right? And he was on stage in Kosovo, right? In Kosovo, was it?
Sunny Hill.
Yeah. And he went in front of thousands of people, right? And he doesn't care if they were laughing at him, if they were singing with him. It's like, dude, I'm on stage in front of thousands of people, right? I can care less what they think.
Yeah, and that's literally been my motive. I tell her all the time, I'm like, I don't care if people laugh at me. I don't care if people think I'm this or that. I'm like, I'm still gonna do what I'm doing and what I'm destined to do.
When you have the confidence in yourself and what you're doing, nobody's gonna stop that. Nobody's gonna change who you are when you know who you are, right? Those are the things I preach all the time, because I see it a lot with people. Like, I talk to people. I'm a type of person that, like, I could read the room, I could read the vibe, I could see what's going on, and I see when people are uncomfortable or afraid or whatever, and I'm like, why? And then, you know, you can't change people overnight. It takes time to learn this kind of stuff or get comfortable with it, right? But the more and more, like, if you're doing your podcast and you have somebody motivational or somebody that's doing something, it helps. Like you said, Dea, right? Like, it helps the community say, wow, Jack is doing this, or whoever you get next, or Dennis was doing this, right? All these people that you're going to get or had on the show, it's going to help that young Albanian, right? Like that, let's hope that 15, 14, 15, 16-year-old that's watching this, like, I'm doing this and maybe I can do it. Look, they're on the podcast, or look, they were on Albanian, you know,
I want
TV
there,
or whatever, you know?
there to be more
know,
impacts and more Deas and more Rux and more everything that's creative.
More, man, more. The more the merrier, and it's needed, and I hope it continues, and I hope people keep doing it. I really would love to see the community grow, and just anything. I don't care what it is. You could be a makeup artist, you could be a doctor. Just make a difference somewhere, somehow. Just that's all I want.
Be a dog walker genuinely, and your dog walking business is successful or growing.
Yeah, like I'll be happy for you. Pizzerias, like restaurants, whatever it is.
But see, Jack, here's the difference in terms of mindset. And I explain it in terms of like pizza or pies or burek. Let's think of a burek.
Burek, yeah,
We're
yeah.
all
Well, let's
familiar with that.
let's leave it Albanian, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Forget about it.
Yeah, very
That
good.
one.
People imagine that the burek is one size and it doesn't exponentially increase, but actually the more hands that are put into making it, the more it expands. So it exponentially increases over time.
Oh, yeah.
It's not limited in any way, shape, or form. So when you think of life in that way, in terms of everyone can contribute, and by contributing they can do more, and we can all win and have more burek at the end, you're more likely to collaborate.
More burek, more life.
More life, more burek, more life. Whereas some people like to take a slice and just run is the idea. But that's a very short-term mentality. It's I live for today. I don't really think about tomorrow, and I don't have a long perspective as to where things are going to go. And it comes from scarcity mentality. We can sit here and judge people all day, and we have to understand many Albanians also came from a huge scarcity mentality coming out of communism and coming out of the Balkans and trying to establish themselves in America. There is a sense of trauma, of insecurity attached to it. So to really see people changing that perspective.
We did a whole other podcast for that one.
For sure.
We definitely all have a defense.
And we all have our own stories
Yeah.
in addition to that we've seen maybe from our families or people that we know, our friends, and those are very real. So to have people.
Well, you're right about that, because you know what I always say, and I'm like, dude, why don't we have like the next Albanian basketball player? Like, why hasn't he came out yet and like became like an NBA star, right? Or like, why, like we're starting to see the people go into sports like MMA, and I think we had like one of my cousins was in NFL for a little bit, right? But we're not seeing it as much as we should have. But you know, coming for the kids that are our age range, our age range and lower, I want to see more of that. Right. I want to see those, but those people, those kids have been told, or like, you know, maybe someone that's like 30 years old has been told like, no, you're never going to make it with that. Right. You're not going to make it in basketball. You're not going to make it in fighting. What do you want to do with karate? What do you want to do with music? What do you want to rap for? What do you want to do? Whatever it is. They were told that, right?
Yeah.
Constantly. And then that is traumatizing for somebody that has a goal or a dream that they want to fulfill, and they get crushed down with, go get a job that pays money that you're not going to care for, and it's going to take you down, and you know you're going to die and hate that you did it, you know, whatever it is. And that's what, like what you're talking about there, that's the problem. It's like when you don't have the support system, you don't have people telling you you can do this, you can try this, go ahead and do it, and they're not telling you that, it's hard. It's almost impossible.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But the
No, you're good.
tough part is also the foundation too at home with a lot of people too, because you don't get that from your parents, especially if you got immigrant parents. Like I got immigrant parents, and it was surprising to me when they actually supported me when I wanted to play American football, when I wanted to play basketball, when I wanted to rap. Imagine telling a mom and a dad, Albanian mom and dad, you want to rap. It's like, what? You know, but I was surprised.
That was unheard of, you know?
I was surprised I had the support. So I feel like some of the parents here too need to kind of open their heart a little bit more to that creativity side of you know, the kids nowadays too. Because
I mean, like I'm a dad, right? I have 3 boys. I'm a dad myself now, so I see it, right? And I see it because my kids are growing up in America. They're not growing up in Albania. They're not growing up in Kosovo. They're not growing up over there. They're growing up here. And I see it. If I don't show them that they can do something, they're not going to do it, you know? And that's no knock to anybody's parents and no knock to anybody's hustle. But if they were working a job that they had no choice but to work because they came to this country with nothing and they didn't know the language that well or whatever it is, you know, the whole story, we all know that story, right? That's all they know. So to them, it's like dreams, goals. What the hell is that? Go make money, you'll survive, because that's what they knew, right? For me, I know the best of both worlds. For you guys as well, you know the best of both worlds. You know the world of immigrant parents and the hardships that came with that, and them coming here. And the stories are all amazing to me. Every single one, even though they're very similar. Every time I hear it, I'm like, I can't imagine leaving America, going to China and starting my life there. But it would be much easier for me because I got education here. I learned English. English is a big language all over the world. You could kind of get around. But I still can't imagine me doing that, like taking my kids and going to like China, let's say, or India or wherever, somewhere foreign that I know nothing about. It's still amazing to me. But because of that, that's all they knew, it was survive, make money. What else did they know? You know, it's tough.
Up to us to break those cycles and those
break the generational curses, right?
To an extent. And I like that you mentioned that you're showing your kids what's possible through example and not just telling them go after your dreams, but going after your own dreams. You're doing that and you're showing them, look, dad is following the footsteps of being great because he believes in it, and there's risks involved in that.
Yeah.
We have to be able to take those risks while we're alive on Earth. And we had another podcast where we mentioned with Zev Vatai, who is in the business scene, and he's developed transportation and tourism services throughout the US and big in the Airbnb world, about how we're so limited in terms of the amount of time that we have on Earth. Why not take those risks to fulfill your mission and your
find your purpose, right? Find your purpose, why you're here.
Exactly. You generally don't need a $10 million investment to start an idea. What you need is willpower and, like you said, your bedroom to be able to create music in or something like that.
I'm still in a small room. Like I'm not like I'm not in $1 million studio. Like I don't have $1 million equipment, right? I don't. I'm gonna be honest. I don't have the top of the line stuff. I have this, I have this, I have this. That's all I need. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, people make it more than it has to be. Like even when I got married, right? I got married very young. I was 23. So to that, people, when they hear that, they're like, oh my God, you got married at 23? You're crazy. But everybody told me, like, what are you gonna do for money? Right? Figured that out when I had a kid. Oh, you're having a kid? What are you gonna, like, I know what people thought, right? But it's like, if you start waiting for money to come in, you're never gonna do anything.
People put
right?
their you a lot.
You know, I tell everybody that. I'm like, you don't need money to figure out what you want in life. You need to know what you want, get it by all means, do whatever you have to do. If you wait for like those millions of dollars like you're talking about, then you know what, we're gonna just be waiting forever, because that's not realistic, you know. It's not going to happen overnight, and it never does happen overnight. It takes time. The journey is the reason why we do what we're doing, right? We want to go through the journey, through the hard times, through the good times. That's how we build our character. That's how we learn what we want and what we want to do for the rest of our lives, or who we want to be.
And when you're going up that hill and up that journey, I think you don't realize how many people you're impacting along the way. So you may be sitting there creating this music and this remix of a particular song, and you may think, well, my audience is going to like it. You don't know how many people back home are going to be inspired to be able to pursue this scene. So you're spiritually waiting on your gift, that people are waiting to tap into them in order to take them to the next level. So it's not just you. The circle of life and the butterfly effect is very huge in terms of fulfilling what you have to do. One single post can attract you to another creator who you can partner up with, is the idea. So it's good that you're not sitting on your goals and your dreams and just kind of going out there and doing them. It's very refreshing, not just for the Albanian community, but for the creator community in general. I wanted to ask you a bit.
Well, I hope so, right? That's all I can say is I hope whatever it is that you guys are doing, that I'm doing, that anybody else is doing is motivating and inspiring somebody. That's why we're here. Right.
I mean, hey, look at it this way. You're here 18 years later, still doing what you love, bro. So it's like not many people will keep doing that. You know what I mean? And you're successful in your own outright. So just imagine how many people did give up on their dream after 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years plus, etc., whatever, and you're still here doing it. So, you know, there's a passion for it, there's a love for it, but you know, you're still doing it. You never gave up. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And he's not giving up until we hear Albanian music on the radio. I'm gonna hold you to that, by the way.
I mean, listen, like it's like, why would you stop? Why would you stop doing something you put so much time into?
Yeah.
No, literally ask yourself that question. Why would you stop doing what you put so much time in? No, like seriously, like it makes the most sense when you look at it that way. You see that all the time and effort and, you know, the exhaustion that you put into doing something, and then you're just gonna stop doing it. To me, that's called you gave up. You quit. I quit. Right? that you don't do with something that you put so much love and time into. You don't do that. Like, you don't just give up, because as Albanians, we were taught to always, whatever it is that you do, whatever it is that you love, do it with your full heart, right? Whenever people come over our house, we give our full heart to them, right? You know, right? Like, we give everything we have. We can have literally nothing, and we'll give it to them, right? It goes. The same should be applied to whatever it is that you're doing that you love.
We're very, I think, selfless a lot as a culture when it comes to hospitality and greeting people, but at the same time we can
But we don't do it for ourselves, right?
for ourselves. So there's that paradox in that.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, with your attachment to the Albanian culture and your background, you mentioned that your dad is from Montenegro. Can you speak a bit about his story and him coming to America and how that influenced
So,
you?
well, he came to America, he was in his 20s. He came here with the idea of there's nothing going on in Montenegro. And his mom was like, you need to go. Like, she just told him, she was like, as much as you're gonna miss me and everything, she was like, you need to get out of here, because I see bigger things for you and you want a family and stuff like that. I don't see that happening in this, little house with like 15, 20 people that were living in it, He comes from a very big family, so he came here. Good thing he met my mom through like family that knew each other because they were from the same town, and he came here, he met my mom, they got married, and they had us 4 kids. We're 4 kids. I have 2 sisters and a younger brother. Both of my sisters are older than me. And he came here, he was a super for a little bit, and then he got a handyman job, and that's kind of where my character came from a little bit, because watching him over the years, it's like, you hear the stories and you see how he's working, and anybody with an immigrant dad can relate to this in some form. So he came here, he didn't have anything to say like he wanted to be like a doctor or something like that, right? It was just come here, make money, and make a family here, right? But give him the best chance that they can get, and that was in America, So he did that, and he did that well, and until his last days. And we're products of my dad, so I always tell everybody, like, what you see in me, you'll see a little bit of my dad, right? But you'll also see a little bit of my mom. I take the best of both worlds. My mom is a little bit more of like an aggressive, and my dad was more of like the kind-hearted. He was very gentle. Yeah. So I took a little bit of both. So I tell everybody, like, when you look at us as a family, or you look at my siblings or whatever it is, anything that we do, a little bit comes from them. Like, my dad was funny, but he was very shy. So like, he was funny with the people he knew.
Yeah.
Right. So like, when I saw his character, it was like, you're hilarious to me, So like, even just like not trying to be, he was funny, And my mom, she came here younger. She was 9. So my mom is very more American than my dad. So my mom kind of knew about like, America. So we had the best, like we had like, we had the Albanian, and then we had my mom that grew up in the Bronx, and she went through all this stuff, and we kind of meshed the best of both worlds. And this is kind of like why I am the way I am. Like I take a little bit of Albanian from my dad, and a little bit of the American from my mom, because my mom was basically raised here.
I really like that story, and I know that your parents and your dad have been major influences in your life, so it's really beautiful that you shared that with us. And you also as to where your character, and many of our followers don't know what we mean by character, so we'll explain that. In addition to his music,
Mr. Vessel.
Jack is also known as Mr. Vassel on Instagram and on TikTok.
Yes.
Where he plays probably one of the best characters I've seen, which is an Albanian dad of some sort and variety, doing a variety of things.
Man.
Can you explain where that came from, where that started, and what kind of attention you want from that, or what message you're trying to portray from that?
Well, it started out, if the true people know where it started. It started in a skit we made with Victor Vezai and Rob Uday, who were making skits since Facebook days, right? We became really cool friends, and we got close with each other, and they were making these like comedy videos, right? And they were posting them on Facebook at the time. YouTube wasn't out yet, or it was fresh at the time. And So we got together and we did we made like a skit, like we wrote a skit down, like this is the skit we're gonna do. We're gonna do Match.com. If nobody knows what Match.com is, but it was like a dating site, right? But we did it where we were characters of like who we wanted to be in the site, right? But we were talking to the camera. And one of the characters was obviously an Albanian like dad or like super or handyman or whatever it was, because I just got the idea from like doing the accent all the time from my dad, you know? And I did that, and that was kind of like a popular thing on like Facebook and like the social media at the time. And then we did Shit Albanians Say, which went viral on YouTube for a while with the Albanians. It was even shown in Kosovo and Albania at one point. Like I don't even know if they were allowed to do that, but they did. They like put the whole thing on like the news channel or whatever it
They
was.
really asked for permission.
No.
There's no copyright infringement.
If you do that now, yeah, but like back then, like there was none of that. So
Remember this. I remember that.
so that character started in Match.com 12 years ago. Yeah, 12.
You're really dating yourself. Well, you can't blame me.
Listen,
That's hilarious.
it is what it is at this point. Like it's I've been doing things like this for so long that when I think about it, I'm like, you know what? You're doing it for so long. Like I said, you put so much time and effort, and it obviously makes people laugh and makes people happy. Why would you stop doing it? You know what I mean? Especially with the platforms we have now. Why the hell would you stop doing it? You know? And everybody stopped because of the platforms were so limited. You know, Instagram wasn't really a video place. You know, YouTube was like you posted like things there like I don't know how to create, you know, like something out of wood or whatever. It was like DIY stuff. Like it wasn't anything like crazy, you know? So I started with that character in Match.com, and then we did Shit Albanian Say, we did a few other skits, and then we stopped making videos, right? Because everybody's life got busy, and you know, people have, you know, things that they want to accomplish, and you know, it takes away from the free time that you have to make those kind of videos. But when TikTok came out, I was like, I'm gonna bring this guy back. I'm gonna bring Vased back, because like people thought it was great, and now I can maybe, you know, make more skits that I kind of wanted to make, that I had ideas of. I have a whole bunch of like, I have a list of things that skits that I wanted to do with Mr. Vased as a character. So I'm like, when TikTok came out, I was like, I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna do a video. I'm gonna post it, because nobody's gonna know, you know, who Mr. Vased is or the character in general if they don't know through TikTok, because a lot of the young people, you know, were too young maybe to see Shit Albanian Say and Match.com, because they were a little bit on the older side of the YouTube thing. So started with that character. I'm still doing it today, and the reason why I do it, I get people compliments me all the time about it, like, you do an Albanian dad spot on, and it just reminds me of my dad, it reminds me of my family, it reminds me of childhood, you know, memories. And when I hear stuff like that, or it makes me laugh, or it makes me happy, those things are why I still make those skits, you know. And it's hard because like you try to manage, are you going to be a funny person? Like, are you going to be like a comedian on TikTok? Are you going to be like a DJ and make remixes and music? So like that whole blend was like, as long as people are entertained, that's all I care for, right? You want to entertain people. You make a podcast, you want people to be inspired by it or entertained by it. You know, I listen to podcasts all the time, and I'm like, man, that inspired me, or man, that made me laugh. Whatever it is, whatever emotion it made you feel, and it was a good one, even if it made you cry, right? That's why you do what you do. So when people say it makes my day or it makes me happy, and I saw this video, I was having a bad day, and it made me laugh, that's all I need to hear. I don't need to hear anything else. That's I'll continue doing that.
What's really evident, I think, from your character and the way that you speak is that everything comes from a very genuine place. You are an artist through and through, and you are committed to your art, and you want people to simply experience it. You have the vision and you have the goal, and I think that's very refreshing, because immediately sometimes when people want to enter the scene, they think, how am I going to monetize simply breathing online? How will that work is the idea. And what I tell people is, there's a process. There's definitely a process, and it takes time, but that shouldn't be your goal. Your goal should be, what are you creating? What are you putting out there? And then the money usually comes along after you provide a service of some sort, but it won't just be handed to you because you exist. You have to do something. You have to add value, whether it's humor, whether it's fixing a problem people have in their daily lives, or offering music and services. And I think in this way, in this genuine ascension and fruition of work that you've displayed, you found success in being yourself. And that's
Yeah.
the goal at the end of the day. How have you developed and evolved as a person and as an artist throughout that process as well?
I mean, I don't even know where I would start with that, because when I was younger, it was like, I'm gonna do this. This is fun. This is exciting, right? Then it became a job after a little while, DJing, doing events. It became kind of exhausting. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. It was like I'm seeing the same people over and over again. I'm doing the same thing over and over again. And I kind of took a break from actually producing music and remixing music. And I would just go DJ events, and like there was no, I feel like I was starting to lose the passion behind it, because I was like, this is becoming a job.
Mhm.
And when something felt like it was becoming a job, it was like, this is not fun no more. You know, and I think when I realized, I was like, why it's not fun is because I'm not doing the part that actually was fun for me, and that was creating what I was creating. Because when I was making CDs, right, or mixtapes, whatever you want to call them, and I was making mixes, it was more just like mashups, right? And I'm like, I could do that in my sleep at that point, right? It was like, that's easy for me, you know? And I'm not trying to boast about it. It just became so easy to me to do it. And then I was like, I'm not even producing anymore. I'm not even making music. When I started realizing that is when I was like, that's why I'm not loving what I'm loving, because I'm not creating anything. I'm just going and doing events and DJing, you know, a wedding or whatever it was. And that's not what I wanted. I didn't want that for myself as an artist, as a producer, as a creative. I wanted to do more. So I started making remixes. I started producing actual tracks, you know, originals, remakes, whatever they were. I was in it to win it. Like I went full throttle. And that's kind of where I was like, okay, the reason why I wasn't happy or I wasn't set on what I was doing was because I wasn't doing what I love. And this is the part I love. It's obviously creating.
Yeah.
So once I started creating again, everything just made sense. Like it was like a light bulb came back on. And I'm like, that's what I was missing. The whole time that I was like down and out about being a DJ, I was like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just going and making this like a job, you know, and I don't want that.
See, I know musically, like I've had dreams of working with certain people and things like this. Have you ever had a dream of working with certain artists or certain individuals that like you'd want to do something cool or inspirational with, or just any artist in general?
Let me think. There was so many, and I think that changed over time. Um, I would say right now, there I do have a remix that I was working on that I put on TikTok. It was from Masari, who was a really big singer back in like 2010s, right? And even probably before that. And I think his music at the time, I was like, it's like Arabic sounding, but like American. And I was like, that's kind of what I wanted to do with Albanian music. And he was doing it with that. So he was one of the artists that I was like, if I ever can get with and do something with, I'd love to mesh in some kind of Albanian with that, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing now with that remix. And I think that's one of the artists that I'm like, if I can do something with him, even if it's just a remix, remake, whatever it is, I'll be happy with, like, I could check that off my list and say I did a remix with Masari, and you know, it came, if he allows me to come out with it, obviously, because you know, you have to ask the artist. And there's a whole process behind that, as the rock knows. But are you talking American or Albanian artists?
In general, anything, or even Albanian, past or present, who would you want to work with? Doesn't matter if it's
And
whatever it is.
the answer can be no one, and that's completely fine
Yeah.
as well.
No,
too.
it's a good question, and I wanted to think about it, because that, like I said, it's changed over time for me. I feel, I don't know. Nicole Nicprada was always big in my house, because he was from NYC. He's Macsor, so we heard his music a lot in our homes, and that's probably one artist that I'm like, you know what, I remixed his stuff. I listened to his stuff for so long that I'm like, I would love if, like, you know, he was like, hey, take one of my songs and remake it or whatever it is. That's, I would say from Albanian, like traditional artists, that's one. I would say from rappers, Noisy.
Yeah.
I would say would be one. Noisy, I feel like he was the one for Albanian rap that he took it to a different level. Something that they were afraid to do, I think, there. Because they were so used to like just rapping in a certain way that he took it like, I'm just gonna try all these different ways of making music and sounding a little different. He was like, to me, he was like Lil Wayne, right? Lil Wayne was so different that it was almost like and lyrical that you were like, this is so cool, you know. This is your ear heard something that you never heard before, and that was Noisy. So I feel like he would be one. For sure.
To touch base on that Nicole Prada, Fukara is still my favorite Albanian song of all time, bro.
That is one of the tops. That is one of the top songs to me, because like the the words are corny, right? But it just it's so great because it's like that's really what it was. Like Yummy
Like
Diaj
the vibe of the song, the beats that he had at that time, and his voice, the way he created melodies with his voice, it was like
that's what it was. It was his voice, because first of all, he is a classical singer. He was taught to sing classical music, right? So he knows how to hit ranges that Albanians weren't able to hit because they were so used to their tone. And the Albanian tone is beautiful. Don't get me wrong. It's not easy to do, but they had that like sound to it, you know. It was like a little bit like, you know, old. So when he came in, like Rock was saying, it was like, wow, this is refreshing. So that's what I'm trying to say. Anybody that touched my ear that I was like, you left an impact on me somehow, it was like Nicole Cry for like traditional, and probably Noisy for like, you know, like non-traditional music.
You're the second person on our podcast to mention
Nicole
Niprelai.
Yeah.
I've never heard him before.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I'm also.
Well, that's where are you from, Dea?
Oh, I love this question because I love talking about my origins, actually. My family is originally on both sides, my parents, from Chamardia, which is the southernmost portion of original Albania before the division of Albania in 1912 through the Treaty of London. And my region, which is the southernmost region, there's no further south than that of Albania, is also so rich in music and our distinctive way of speaking too, that I like seeing it revitalized. So when I see you mixing these older songs and putting new upbeat melodies towards them, people that are younger can listen to them and feel cool and not feel like, Mom, shut that off, I'm embarrassed, I don't want to hear it. So I would love to see that with mixes from different regions of Albania as well. But
well, yeah, like that's why I asked you where you were from, because if you didn't hear about Nicole Niprelai, right, the reason why is because he was more of a northern singer, right?
Yes, for sure.
He is from Basia Mala, so that is the music he was doing, right? That and maybe like some of Kosovo, because at the time when Kosovo was in the war, he was making some like songs about that. And those regions knew about him. You probably didn't, because why would you be listening to northern music in the South, right? That's kind of the thing. Like we wouldn't be, I'm gonna be honest with you, we weren't listening to southern music like at all.
I wasn't born in the South. I'm from Tirana, and my parents are from Tirana, but my grandparents are all originally from the south of Albania. But
yeah.
I left.
Well, even music from Tiran, right? Like that was played probably a little bit in America, but we did really listen to more northern, like Kosovo, you know, Duga, like all that area. That was more of, I guess, because we just had more people from those areas here in New York. That's what we listened to growing up, you know.
Like Noisy a little different, because for me it was like when I first heard Noisy, I'm like, this guy sounds very different to me, like too different. And that's maybe because he came from a southern region of Albania. For me, it was different
or is he from Durrës?
No,
I'm not sure where he's from.
He's from Dibra, I think.
Is he?
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's from Dibra, I believe.
Check that right now.
Yeah, we got
Wikipedia has to say.
I'm pretty sure he's from Dibra. I believe, because I know he had a song about that, and he's shouted it out a bunch of times.
To me, he sounded very different to what I was used to hearing. You know? It was a different style of Albania.
He was great, man. To me, like he made
like
he was
bad. I'm not saying he was bad, but to me,
he's from Dibra.
Yeah, different.
Dibra.
He's from Dibra. Yeah.
And it's interesting because I think hearing his music while being in the US, I think Noisy has the strongest fans outside of Albania that go hard for him and enjoy his music every single day. I'll be at the gym. Imagine I'm a 5'3" girl, definitely not a rapper in any way, shape, or form. And I'm working out because I'm listening to Noisy.
Yeah.
It's so good to have that vibe, or when you're driving is the idea. So I think he definitely revolutionized the rap and hip hop scene in Albania and beyond. And he has a lot of quotable songs that people either use when they're having conversation or in their bios. And his recent collab has become viral. The I think I'm Albanian, but
Yeah.
that was really good too.
It's the longevity too, and the fact that he started young also, just like you started young.
Which is what I respect. Why I respect him so much. You know what I mean? Is that's what it is. It's like he stayed on the path of what he was doing, and he believed what he was doing was gonna go be great. And he obviously is showing till today, you know, like he's doing so much different music that you're like, we don't even know what to call him anymore. Do you call him a rapper? But he's just an artist. He really is just an artist, you know, like Drake, right? Like you wouldn't call Drake a rapper. You would call him an artist though, you know, like he's made songs that you're like, I'm not rapping to this, I'm singing and I'm about to cry. You're like, you know, like when you have that kind of like range and what you're doing, it's impressive to me from like what Rocco was saying, where he started to where he is now. And it's cool. I mean, you talk to anybody that knows about Albanian music that's not Albanian, they know who Noisy is.
My favorite thing about him and his music are his lyrics. I think he's a great writer, and that's stated a lot in his presentation, but truly in terms of rhythmic presentation of words and the poetry behind it, I think he's a really good poet at the end of the day, which is what
definitely has his moments for sure. Yeah, I agree. He has moments.
There's a lot coming out.
He definitely looks like he could be my cousin.
I think all Albanians look like they could be related, and that's my like. Maybe.
I mean, people look at me; they're like light hair, light eyes. They're like, "You're sure Albanian?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like,
that's my mom. That's my mom. I think you have two aspects.
A lot of Albanians with red beards, red hair, and I'm like, yeah, no, it's just we're very different.
That's crazy to me. Like, where did the red come from? You know,
my brother was born a redhead.
Yeah, but like, where does he even come from? Like, I don't even like genetically, I can't see that. Like,
I have a friend literally has red beard, and red hair, blue eyes, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's
never, like,
like back in the day.
You would never think they're Albanian. And you know what's gonna happen? Obviously, in America or any place outside of Albania, so when you're mixing with different nationalities too, which is happening, you're gonna have different looking kids. You wouldn't be. I don't think 20 years from now we're gonna be able to tell who's Albanian just by looking at them, because there's gonna be so much mixed kids. You know,
we'll know by a square head for sure,
or the nose.
I think there's definitely that defining character when you're at the airport and you can just sniff out who's Albanian. You're like that.
I mean, just the way they're standing, or even the Balkans in general, right? Because there's like, if you look at anybody from the Balkans, you're like, yeah, they're definitely like Albanian or some kind of Balkan. Like, you can just tell by the way they're moving or talking. But it's more the older people that you can tell. Some of the young people nowadays, like I see them and I'm like, would never think. I'm gonna be honest.
Still tell.
Yeah,
I can still tell. It's something about the eyes.
Is it?
Your kids for sure. I would still tell that they're Albanian. They're gonna grow up with a bit of Asel in them too. So
I could see it. Yeah, I could see it. I mean, they're so young right now. It's like, I wonder, like, if when they grow up, it was like, would people be able to tell they're Albanian? I feel like people do now, just by our attitude more.
That's, that brings up another discussion and conversation. How do you relate your Albanian background to your kids? Do you at all? Are they familiar with it? Do they like it?
I try to teach my oldest Zeph, he's 8. I try to teach him words and he knows it, and he knows the bad words, obviously.
Of course.
And they learn those right away.
So what we learned the first time, because like they hear it when we say it and they're like, what does that mean? Because we say it with such aggression, right? So they want to know why you're saying that, especially when you're trying to curse them out and you don't want them to know. You know. So that's one thing he is learning. He is learning a few words and he likes the music. Obviously, he sees what I'm doing. Like when he watches my music videos, like he's like so interested in it. Like he's so interested in like, oh, what instrument is that, right? You know, he's like, what's playing now? Like he's like, is that an Albanian instrument that's playing? You know, he's very into music too. He loves like rap and hip hop and stuff like that. He's into music right now. So when I play Albanian music, he's very interested in what kind of different instruments and what they're singing about. So like kind of how I learned, he's gonna start learning Albanian through music. I would think.
Oh, that's great.
I think so. I think that's the best way to learn it, because I tell everybody, like, listen to Albanian music and you'll learn the words, and then you'll obviously might not know what the word means, but then when you start figuring out what the word means, you could start putting it together.
For sure. No, for sure. I see that happening a lot with a lot of people who have families abroad, and their introduction to Albanian music is putting on music in the house and having kids that don't speak Albanian dance to it or familiarize them. So music is such a binding factor, and that's why I love that you're in that scene, because it keeps societies together. It keeps communities together too, because even if you don't like someone, once Shota plays, everyone is on the dance floor.
Exactly.
And they're dancing is the idea. So it has a communal effect, this effect of togetherness and diplomacy that can be played through it.
Yeah, like I wonder how many people fell in love dancing Shota. You know what I mean? Like it's like wow, you guys danced together. You guys did you guys fall in love at like first dance when you were dancing?
It's such a simple drum and kick, like
it's like she danced so beautiful. I had to ask her to marry me, you know?
My heart like drum, bam bam.
my heart was like tupan, you know?
I think you got a tupan behind you.
I do, yeah. That was actually in both music videos that I shot for Fushove and Haval. I used that one over there. It's beat up, but it was like I like it. It's got character.
Kind of build off that. What is your favorite Albanian instrument? Because we have a lot of very old, interesting ones.
Yeah, we really do. Lahut.
Yeah, that's mine.
That's my dad's favorite as well.
Yeah, the Lahut, to me, I tell everybody when I die, please play it at my funeral.
The frequency.
I want that played at my funeral. Like there's this something about the sound of it is like so sad.
Yeah, the frequency hits you in like a way. There's something with music that people with frequencies, you have to really understand it. That's like one of those that really hits you in like this depressed kind of stage, but it feels good.
You just know some depressing things are going to be said if there was singing behind it, but there was also a story behind it that you couldn't tell with any other instrument. Like Chitalia, you can tell a story and it's great, don't get me wrong, but you can also kind of dance to that, you know what I mean? Like so like you got people dancing like to Chitalia, but they're singing about like some kind of war story, right? With Lahut, it's like a whole 10 minutes, and I get this from my dad because my dad played it with me, and that's what we listened to together. It's a 10-minute story about whatever it is. It could be about a kid that left his father and had to go away or got killed or whatever it is. And it's so sad with that Lahut, like you're saying, brings it together. And that instrument to me, like I said, when I die, play it at my funeral. I love it. I just think it's great.
Melancholy in its way, in its calling.
Yeah.
Story, and you can sit around and have some raki and enjoy some Lahut music.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can't listen to it for like 30 minutes, right? Like after a while, it's a little tiring because it's the same, you can't listen to anything for 30 minutes, but that I think that's one of the instruments. That and probably tupan, because it's just so exciting, and I think it's universal as well, because you go to an Arabic wedding, right? And they'll be playing the similar drum to ours or Turkish or whatever. So that drum, I feel like it speaks volumes. Even when Americans hear it, or when we play it at our weddings, they're like, what is that? It's like, it's a drum from our, culture. And they're like, it's something like I never heard before. I've worked with musicians, like live bands, American bands, and they're like, I never heard anything like that. And I'm like, you guys are musicians. You should know like mostly what instruments are. And they never heard the sound of a tupan.
It's interesting. It's very interesting.
It is.
There's so many different sounds and freaking instruments that you say. It's like people still are very closed-minded and haven't heard anything, or it just doesn't reach them. So it's cool to see like this stuff now finally reaching people. Hopefully people like Dua Lipa and Baby Rexha and Rita Ora start doing some kind of old school style songs that can get on.
Call me. I'm ready. Like that's literally what I want to do, right? That I tell everybody, like that's the problem. And I'm not going to shit on Albanian music now, what's out now, because it is cool. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love it. I play it, obviously, at parties. I remix it. It's still missing an Albanian feel to it.
Yes.
And that's my problem with the music. It's like, okay, cool. That sounds like reggaeton, but it's not us.
That is so true. And whenever I hear Albanian music, I play it all day, 24/7, by the way. From the moment I wake up until I sleep, I play new music. And it's ingrained in my mind. But I just think there's such a desire to try to seem foreign. So they'll make it sound like Afro beats, which I love Afro beats, listening to it from Nigeria and from Burna Boy and all that. And I love reggaeton. But I really think we need our distinctive style. because
Yeah.
it'll still be popular even if you use authentic Albanian rhythms, melodies, even more so. You never know, is the idea that make it more Balkanic and beat in nature.
Yeah, like Rock was saying, he was like, "Where's BB? You know, Reja, and where is you know, Dua Lipa and Rita Ora? Why aren't they using like?" You go to any producer around the world and you show them our music, like our real music, they're gonna be like, "That's dope." Like,
Yeah,
I never heard that before. And I feel like they're afraid to do it, and that's why I'm like, I want to make and create music that has our music in it, but that can go viral. Like I said, I see Albanian music going viral. I hope I'm right about that one day. I feel like I am because I've been saying it, and that's one of the things we need to do is we need to get somebody that has a little bit of a name or even has a big name, just to put some kind of Albanian in their songs. Anything. It could be like like you said, an instrument or just a melody that's familiar. And that's all I want to see. I want people to hear something different.
Yeah, I feel like the last real like song I had heard with like an Albanian sample or like that blew up was like, what's his name? Capital T with Moy Hatija. Ever since then, I really haven't heard anybody use some sort of old folk song or anything like
I
that.
enjoy it. I
And that
enjoy
was-
that song so much.
But that had an Albanian vibe to it compared to
Yes,
all
it did.
the other summer songs that they make that have international vibes. And I'm like, guys, come on, make
But
something.
it's like
with vibes.
you know the song by Jay-Z and Punjabi MC,
Yeah.
right? Like that put Indian music
And
on the map.
Jason Derulo had a song with a very Balkan beat in it at one point.
Yeah.
I know what I'm talking about.
Talk dirty to me.
Talk dirty to me. Yeah.
When I heard that, I was like, this is Albanian music. The Balkans being represented.
I remember that. I remember
and people loved it. People want something.
So yeah, like I'm saying, like you got Timberland that went and grabbed so many different Indian samples. Like there's a whole TikTok on that of like all the Indian samples he's taken. Why not us?
Dude, they had 3 years running in the hip hop scene where they were using the flute with like
Indian
Percocet, Molly Percocet, but you could hear it. And that was
you
like
could hear it. It
every
was
other song after that.
international vibes mixed into like something new, right? Like, and not to bring back Masari again, but he did a song called Arabi. I don't know if you know it, Dea, but it's with Future, right? It's like, why didn't we do that yet? Like, why hasn't like Noisy touched down on an American artist here and then a song that had a little bit of both, right?
Maybe this is the inspiration that they need.
I hope I hope so, right? I hope so. Like that, like you call me if you need it. Like I'm ready to do that kind of production. Like I've been waiting for people to ask me to do something different. But I'm like, you know what? We have artists that are like talented here that can do it and maybe go, you know, viral themselves. You know, maybe we don't need Noisy, no offense to him, or we can get somebody here to do it. Yeah, let's do it, Rock.
I love new blood on the scene.
Let's do it.
100%. And new talent on the scene. And I think
that's the goal.
A way of attaching to already existing artists, which is great, and they hold their own space and frequency, but new space is there. And I think people should really attach onto it because the ideas that you bring are going to be new. Someone who's been for 20 years, of course, they have new ideas that they produce, but there is an identity associated with them. And newer ideas are easier to be done when you're fresher on the scene. And the fact that you're bringing that and Rock is bringing that new vibe and that freshness is really amazing. I mean, I'll be listening to that at the gym now from now on if you guys create something. So
yeah, I mean, listen, that's kind of my end goal. So whatever it is, even I don't even know if I have an end goal, but I know that there's some place I want to get to. That place is giving Albanian artists, wherever they're from, but mostly here in America, somewhere to say, I feel safe. I feel like you're motivating me and I feel like we can do it is the place I want to create, right? So whether that's a record company or that's just us doing stuff independently as artists together and we're collaborating and making a song and a video and it does well, that's where I want to be at, right? So I want to be able to say, hey, Rock, or hey, whoever, do you want to come over and do you want to make a song and we're going to put out a video and everything and I'll help you out and I'll give you whatever it is that you don't know what you're doing at, I'll help you with that part, right? And that's what I want to be. I want to be that guy that everybody's like, I know I want to make music, but I don't know where else I can go with that. I don't know, what do I do? Where do I start? That's what I want to be. I want to be honest with you. Like, it's not about me, you know? It's really not. I might say that sometimes, like when I talk about myself or when I'm but I do that to motivate the next person to say, let's work together, let's create something. It's not just me and the light, it's all of us, whoever it is that we're working with.
That's why I'm here right here and doing this.
Exactly. You know, you're not doing it because you want your Rock's name to get crazy or Dea's name to be known. You guys are doing it because you want the spotlight on whoever it is that you're talking to. Clearly, you guys are going to get the spotlight too. We don't even need to say that, right? That's normal.
To get the spotlight to the point that it has become vulgar. It is so easy to get the spotlight online. You can become part of any reality TV show. We're doing a variety of.
You can do it negatively, like you're saying. Yeah, of course.
Crazy things. You can become famous really easily. The idea is that's not the point. The point is what we were speaking about earlier. What is your purpose in life? Like when you turn over into the next realm, what did you create? Who did you connect? And what was your legacy behind
what impact did you leave, right?
Did you leave? And you really have to have those tough conversations with yourself earlier than later, because then you can be on a definitive road and make the decisions that best align to your purpose and your vision. But not everyone questions themselves to that deep existential philosophical state. But I think if you are an artist, you often have these conversations with yourself deeper.
More than you want to. More than you want to.
Ever be interested, for example, in hosting a type of school collaboratively where you could teach kids maybe from the diaspora what music is, how to create music?
Funny thing is, I am going on Sunday to a school in Queens to talk to kids that are learning to speak Albanian, obviously learning the culture. They have a class there that they teach from, I believe it's pre-K to the age of 21.
Is this in Staten Island or New York City?
No, this one's in Queens, in Bridgewood.
Oh, sorry. I didn't hear you say.
Yeah, there is one in Staten Island as well. So I was invited to go talk to them and obviously do what I'm doing here and obviously tell them what my story is and inspire them to do something, obviously, because they're Albanian kids born in America. So that's what I will be doing. So funny thing you bring that up. I'll be there on Sunday and I'll get some clips, to post so you guys can see it.
Nice.
I love that. And I also honestly been wanting to say throughout this entire podcast, I love your hat and the jacket.
Yeah. Thank you.
Got an Albanian eagle on the hat.
That's his logo.
So this is my logo. So if you look at my logo, it says DJ Jack, but the A is a triangle with the Albanian double-headed eagle on it. It was created by a really talented, I guess you can call her an artist. Her name is Brittany Perfepai. She created my logo. And once I saw, because I didn't come up with the idea with the triangle, she did. But it's funny because to me, the triangle, and I know a lot of people are like Illuminati or whatever. It's not just about that. The triangle is infinite energy. It's energy that will always continue and continue on. And that's what my logo represents, is us forever.
I love that.
Now and forever. And I mean, anything you look at religion, right? Like the cross, like that's the Holy Trinity, or like Father, Son, Holy Spirit. You can look at it any religious way as well. But for me, that's what it is. It's like the energy of being an Albanian and what we're about is going to be forever. Like it's never going to end. So that's my logo.
Where can I buy one? Now I'm sold.
They're not out yet. They're not out yet. But I would say in the next coming weeks, I'll have a link for everybody if they want to follow my Instagram or TikTok, but my Instagram more, because I have a group there that you can join, and I'll be giving people the link, because I'm also going to give out some free ones to some supporters that have been there for a while, and obviously you guys will be
we gotta get some.
Yeah, no, for sure.
On the pod,
sure. Listen, it's like the more people see that, and it's just something that will stick in their eye about like Albanians and about like my brand and what I'm trying to do. And it's all about branding, right? Like at the end of the day, like everybody, like you're wearing Tommy Hilfiger, right? Or somebody's wearing something like that. You want that to stick in their head. So if they see this and they start thinking of like Albanian music or my music or DJ Jack in general, then I guess, it's a win,
Serve the purpose that you intend.
It'll serve the purpose, right? Yeah. So yeah, look out for that. It's coming. Sure. It's coming.
So we'll definitely let people know where they can find that, because I know I was interested. Many people are going to be interested in getting that hat. And I like being able to represent Albania in more of these subtle ways as well, that carry a deeper message. And I like how the Albanian eagle is sometimes shifted into different elements, whether it be a triangle or something else that's distinguishable. And I see some brands doing it, and it's nice because you can wear it more casually. as well.
Yeah, I mean, we all wear the shipa, right? Like like you know, we all have people have Albanian tattoos, right? And that's our eagle, right? That's our flag, right? And you're like, okay, that guy's Albanian, right? But when you're wearing it on clothes, right? You don't want just an eagle, like you want. I mean, you want to be creative with it, right? Like you have brands out there that are doing some crazy things, like you just mentioned before, you know. And there's so many good ones, like Skender Gear. I don't know if you guys know Skender Gear. Arton is great at what he does, you know. Shipeko, like there's so many different ones that they're doing great. I mean, listen, they're doing great things because it's like since Drake, I hate saying that, but since Drake did the whole brand Albanian,
we have become a brand. Albanians have become a brand everywhere in the online space. Like everyone loves the eagle. They rep the eagle and they're not even Albanian. They'll wear it on clothing. They'll buy anything that represents it. And I heard somebody say,
it's cool.
Like, it was a British man. He said, "Have you seen the menacing eagle on the Albanian flag? It looks like." I'm like, yes, a menacing eagle. Exactly that. So that's been
yeah, but you know what? Something I'm gonna just say this, and I'm not trying to start like no controversy. It's not an eagle.
Please go ahead. Start.
You know that it's not an eagle, right?
Speak to us. Give us your debate points.
It is a double-headed dragon.
It is a double-headed dragon.
So when they say eagle, I'm like, no, that was a dragon until they, you know, just started making it a double-headed eagle. To me, it was a dragon. And I've looked at this like really, really closely, and like anything like with history, anybody that had that double-headed eagle, it always looked like a dragon, and that's always what it was supposed to be. And I feel that's same thing for us. And I don't know, I believe there was dragons out there. I don't know, call me crazy. I think there was.
To it of the eagle and the dragon. I think they're cross-linked as histories too, but I do also see your point in the dragon perspective, because in Albanian mythology, really, because we were a pagan people for Europe, there were many stories on dragons and dragojt.
Yeah,
everyone in Kombin. So
well, we have, I don't know if you guys call it kushedra, but kushedra is a story about dragons, right? So my dad would tell me these stories about kushedras, and I'm like, and I always kind of had a feeling that they were real. But when I watched Game of Thrones, don't call me crazy. When I watched Game of Thrones, I was like, why am I so attracted to these damn dragons? You know, like I'm like,
have it in you.
yeah, like, and I feel like it's always the coolest thing, right? Like you'll see a dragon even on TV or whatever, and you're like, I mean, like, I like to be an open mind, so I think it was real, you know. And that's when I see the Albanian eagle, and you see like that's or whatever, it looks like a tongue, but it's not. That's fire coming out of it, you know.
Do they have real drawings or real paintings of people that painted like dragons and in pictures? Like, I don't know. I believe that stuff was real too, but it's
double-headed dragon, baby. That's what I'm calling it.
Never know what if there was dinosaurs. There were definitely dragons.
Yeah,
like double-headed dragon. I mean, I just think it represents us as people. Like, I feel like we are dragons. I don't know.
Definitely breathe fire for sure.
Yeah, like we breathe fire. Like we're tough, but we're beautiful, like in a way, you know?
In a way. So. What do you mean in a way? We are. Like kind of in a way. We are beautiful.
We look nice, you know, we're pretty.
Very nice.
Everything's good.
Everything's good. Jack, if someone were to not meet you, but to hear about you, and I had 30 seconds to describe you to them, what are some quintessential points about you and what you do that you'd want them to know?
I hate talking about myself, but I really do. I want to be honest. That's one thing that I don't like is talking about myself. I don't know why. And I know I'm on a podcast, so I have to.
Yeah, we're forced.
Your question is great though, because I think the biggest thing for me is I am very, very blunt and honest with what I believe and what I say. I'm not a liar in any form. I tell the truth, and sometimes it gets me in trouble. I don't know, but I've slowed down a little bit on social media. I used to talk a lot more about things that I truly were passionate about. Like we just talked about dragons. I can go on days about that. Like that's just one example, right?
All about dragons.
I'm very passionate. I'm a family guy. Like I love everything about my family, my kids, my mom, my siblings. That's like an Albanian thing, right? I don't know if we all are very close. Most of us are very close to our families.
I love that about us. Very family.
I am a family person. My family comes first before anything. But I would say to answer your question is I am passionate. I'm very passionate about anything I do. It could be storytelling, it could be music, it could be skits, whatever it is. I'm passionate and passionate what I believe in, and I am open-minded, but I'm passionate when I truly believe in something. So I think that's the best way I can explain myself, is passionate.
Yeah, he seems like me, where we just wear our heart on our sleeves. For sure.
I used to rock. I used to wear my heart on my sleeve a lot more than I do now. Until I started obviously getting attacked, and then you have to protect it, right? And I learned to protect it in the best way that I
become dark. Oh, he doesn't like nobody.
You're going through villain era. Hashtag villain era.
Villain art.
I mean, like it's so hard because you want to be nice always, but when you're too nice, you'll get stepped on. And that is where the balance came for me. It's like I give the energy that I'm supposed to give to the people that give it back to me, and that's just how I live from now on, you know? And I think a lot of that came from when my dad passed away, because I'm like, and not to get in too deep with that, but when he passed, it was like you saw everything he did for everybody, including his family, and nobody cared.
Wow. It doesn't get repaid.
And I'm not talking about my family that lived in my house. I'm talking outside of my house, you know? And, you know, you saw how many people actually cared when he was in the ground and who did it.
Wow.
So I live my life every day like my dad was great. My dad wore his heart on his sleeve. I'm going to try to be the best I can to be like him in a way, with how sensitive and caring he was. But I got to protect my energy. I got to protect who I am, because if I start living for the people that are around me, then I'm going to just cater to everybody and then forget about me and what's important to me, you know? And I'm there now. I don't know. I'm a Scorpio, so I'm like all over the place.
I was about to ask you, when's your birthday?
November 12th.
November 12th.
Oh, you're right by my mom.
Scorpio. You're a water sign. I'm a water sign as well. I'm a Pisces. Close to the emotions and the artistry. I understand that.
Oh yeah.
So
and what are you?
Gemini.
I was about to ask you what you thought.
It doesn't get more artistry than Gemini, bro.
Well, what month are you?
May 29th was my birthday.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're right there, like almost Cancer, right? I think.
No,
not Cancer.
I'm right at the beginning of the night season, actually, to be honest. It starts on the 20th.
Oh yeah, okay. So you could be in the cusp of a Taurus, right? So Earth sign. But Geminis are cool too, but Geminis like water signs, they do
crazy.
Yeah.
I never know what to expect on the podcast when I'm co-hosting with him. I'm like,
yeah, right.
Hey, it's just like Kanye. Look, Gemini, Tupac, and Gemini.
It's just
Biggie
like
Smalls,
Kanye. Like,
Biggie
it's a
Smalls.
compliment.
Hey, guys are artists. You don't know what they're thinking.
You are very, like, you know, in tune with your art side of yourself and creative side of yourself. So Gemini for sure. You know, it's funny we talking about astrology, and you know, people would think like, oh, why are they talking about astrology? Like, I don't believe in astrology. It's just funny how like the traits of people, like she's a water sign, right? Like we are in our emotions heavily, like, you know, like it's just what it is.
Oh, horoscopes have been around since Sumerians.
Yeah, I know, but any religious person will tell you like, oh, you're not supposed to talk about astrology, right? You know, like, and I don't know, it's just cool because like, you know, you look at the world and how big it is in the universe, and there's so much surrounding it that like it makes sense. Like if you were born around a certain time, you might have a similar traits or be more in tune with something like that next person that was born in the same time as you, right? You know,
there's a reason why energies align.
Yeah, correct. And I could go on days about that stuff, you know. But yeah, I don't know. We kind of sidetracked over here because I started astrology.
Your whole birth chart. We're going to find your rising sign and your moon sign.
My rising is in Aquarius.
Okay, he knows. Okay,
yeah.
That's great. What's your moon sign?
What was my moon sign? Taurus.
I forgot what mine.
I can see that. And what house is your Venus in? Now, if you know this one, then you're an expert.
I think it's Scorpio, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to look back at it, but I'm pretty sure there was a few Scorpios in there. But I did my rising was in Aquarius, which kind of makes sense.
Okay.
My mom's right around the same birthday as his. My mom's November 17th, so I can see a little similarities in you guys.
Oh, so yeah, you know what you're dealing with, huh?
I get along with Scorpios really well.
Yeah, no. I mean, listen, it's it's funny because my birthday, right? The number 12, just the number 12. And now we're getting to numerology. Guys, please cut me off if I'm
I enjoy
talking.
numerology too. Mine is the
Yeah.
10.
I'm in tune with all this stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, so the number 3, since I'm born on the 12, 1 and 2 is 3, has followed me throughout my whole life. Like every single significant thing that has happened to me has happened on the number 12 or 3, right? So like I'm born on the 12th, I got married on the 12th. That was not planned, right?
Wow. Okay.
My oldest son Zeph is born March 12th.
He's a Pisces like me.
So he's
okay.
3-3,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
It's crazy. I got my first car on the 12th.
I feel like I saw you post something about this one time.
Yeah, no, I did post about it because it's like I look back at it and like every time, okay, the reason why I posted it, right? And I don't need to explain myself, right? I don't gotta explain myself.
Gotta explain yourself. Just do it.
But I do have to explain myself because the reason why I posted that is because I was having a really bad day, right? I was like, man, it's just everything's going kind of wrong with what I want to do, right? And like it was just one of those days. And I pulled up my streams randomly. I go on the app once in a while to check it. I don't check it as much as people think I do. I clicked it and I saw it was 3 million views for the whole year, right?
Wow.
And I'm like,
Look at
man,
that.
it was like everything that day was just popping up in 3, right? 3, 3. And then the triangle on my thing is like 3, like, you know, like, and just everything that's ever happened to me that was good, or like I had a sign, it's always been in the number 3 or 12, right? Anything that came in 3s. I have 3 kids. I didn't plan on having 3 kids, you know. It's crazy. It is crazy when I look back at the number 3 and how much it's followed me throughout my life. And I don't even look for it. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not like I'm like, oh look, number 3. Oh, I see a 3. Like it just pops up when I need it, you know.
You're not expecting it.
Yeah, and it's like a message from the universe or whoever is watching over me, and it's telling me something because like everything significant that has happened to me has happened on the number 3, and I'm gonna follow that.
3 is a very spiritual number.
It is.
I've seen that from religion as well. In Islam, it's the Prophet Muhammad's peace be upon his name's favorite number, if you can say that. So he would do things in 3s, and there's a lot of recitations of verse in the Quran that are done specifically in 3 because of the power that it holds. So I completely understand that.
Yeah. So that's been a thing for me, and I follow it, and I believe it is signs of the universe speaking to you. So you got to listen to that, and when you see it and you start noticing it, and you guys are obviously in tune with that, which is great, you know. And I'll tell everybody, like, pay attention to some of those things that are being shown to you, because you're asking questions, but you're getting the answer, but you're not looking at it, right? You're not looking at the answer that you need, you know. And sometimes it comes in numbers, it comes in whatever, you know, some kind of message or a person, you know. Sometimes it is in people, you know, like this podcast could be a message to somebody, you know, whatever words they or Rock says, it's something, you know.
I had a whole month of that where everything was just aligning, and I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah, I mean, and was that happening before a time where a change came where you kind of needed it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
No.
So I want to get back into an Albanian thing.
Sure.
We do something with a lot of Albanians. We do a speed round.
Yeah.
And I want to get back into this because I want people to see who DJ Jack is as an Albanian.
Yeah.
And what he loves and what he enjoys.
Yeah, enough of this numerology, astrology stuff, guys. Why'd you even bring it up?
Yeah, we're gonna get so deep into this.
I love that usually it's the girls that are into this, but you guys were like, my rising sign is an Aquarius.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't care, dude. I'm into that. Like, I'm into all.
love it too.
Like I said, I'm an open mind. I love all this stuff.
I enjoy
I
it.
am the same way, bro. Trust me, I'm the same.
There's
I
no-
enjoy it all. I'm not gonna say, yo, I'm hard, son. Like, I'm gangster, yo. Like, I don't talk about that.
Because we're all composed of different aspects of ourselves. We're multidimensional creatures. And the more you live within your multidimensionality, the more authentic you are, meaning you're someone who does business, can have a family, believe in numerology and poetry, and be an artist at the same time. If you're just one thing all the time, what are you doing?
That's boring.
Spirit, God, the universe, whatever you call it, and you believe in it, is giving you these hints for a reason, and they're being put in you for a reason, whether it's to speak, to be a speaker, to be a writer, to be an artist. These hints are not random, and I'm glad that there are people out there that, you know, tap into them. But in addition to that, we'll go into the Albanian speed round.
Yeah,
and don't think
enough. Yeah, we could. Let's get away from this combo because I think we'll need another hour for that.
For sure. So, Jack, your favorite Albanian dish, if you could have one for the rest of your life. We won't do that to you, but if you had to choose, we'll give you two if it's two, but what would you choose?
He's like, damn, my mom makes so many good things.
It's man. I want to say, I feel like it's so obvious, like it's burek, right? But like,
which kind though? Which kind? That's important.
The cheese.
Oh, bring me down. Okay,
really?
Yeah.
I
I can eat feta cheese all day, every day. Like it's my favorite cheese in the world. So that's
it's very interesting.
But I don't know. I would say that and shavapa, right? Like I like Albanian food because it's like soul food, right? It's like so simple, but it's just so good. And I don't know. I can't say no to anything. The only thing I don't like is jakna.
Really?
I'm not a cabbage guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not a cabbage dude. Yeah, I don't like jakna. I don't like the smell of it. I tasted it. It's not bad. It just, if it's on the stove and I'm like, yeah, nah, I'm good.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm not crazy about it.
That's me with pasud.
Yeah. I mean, I like pasud. Like, I feel like they're both in the same range. It's like, you're either going to love that or you're not going to like it at all.
Yeah, I feel you.
But
it's okay.
I would say burek and shavapa. Simple.
What if you had to eat a plate of lakra to be able to publish a project? Would you do it? He's like, I don't know about that one. The project might have to suffer. We'll wait till next year.
I think it's something about it being heated up that I don't like. I'll eat cabbage. You know, like I've had cabbage before. Like I just think that when it's heated up, I don't know. It's something weird about that. I don't know.
Noted.
Yeah. Okay. I can't do it, Dana. Don't make me.
Second question. So I know you said that your family is from northern part of Albania, or what was the northern part of Albania. If there's something you could change about Albania or invest in it right now, what would it be and why?
One thing I do want to do when I'm ready to do it is build for the people that can't do it for themselves, right? So you see some of the homes there, and to build homes in Albania is it's not expensive, right? It's not, right? And that's not the main thing about why I want to do it. Is I do want to help our people in some sort of way, but I'd like to do it with my own money and my own time, right? Like there's organizations and foundations, and those are all great and they do a great job, but I want to go and help and hear people's stories in Albania, and just, if I can, and God willing, I will build them homes or schools or whatever it is. I am gonna try my best to go over there at some point in my life when I'm ready, because right now I can't even figure out what's going on in America, you know, in Albania. So I do want to help them over there in some form with their housing, because I feel like they don't have that. If I can improve something about it, would probably be, I feel like we need more, I think, like a school, but not a school that teaches you like here, like a trade school.
Vocational schools.
Yeah, like a vocation, like how we have here in America. Like you can learn how to be a carpenter, you can learn how to fix planes. I feel like that may help them get better jobs over there.
For sure.
Because not everything has to be involved with a book. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that to knock anybody's hustle that reads a book and learns from that.
I know what you mean by that.
Yeah.
You're calling me a nerd. That's it.
No, but I feel like that may help them, because I feel like a lot of the jobs that are needed out there nowadays are in that kind of field, you know? And I think that's one thing that they could do, is just, you know, something cool like that. Maybe even like a music school, you know?
Yeah. That's what I wanted to do. So I was like, you do the trade school, we'll do an art school. I wanted to do
like I'm saying, they all go hand in hand. Like, you know, just teaching them something that doesn't have to do with just reading a book all day and studying.
I agree. And there's no intermediary. I think in Kosovo and Albania, you're either deeply into the academic side of things, then you pursue your master's and PhD, or nothing. And there's other trades that need to be done, whether it be specific automobile services or lights, camera, action, direction, everything. And there's such a need for it as well. I agree.
Well, I don't know if you've ever been to the northern part of Albania, but like in Montenegro or northern parts of Albania, it is very old.
But yeah,
It's very old school still. You know, like everything is still the same. It's the same stores. You know, there is no businesses opening over there, and there is no things for the youth to look forward to as far as like, hey, I want to become this or that. They have to go outside of their towns into major cities like Tiran or go in Montenegro to Podgorica and get a job, you know, that pays a decent amount of money. We need to change that culture. I was actually watching something with my mom recently. It was like some of the like, I guess, poorest countries. It was like top 30 poorest countries or top whatever it was, you know. And Albania came up in a lot of those like poor in education. It was like very low and like things that we shouldn't be low in, you know, like we're pretty smart people, we're hustlers. I get we came from like a warrior mentality because of what we've been through, you know, like fight everybody off to keep our culture and our language, and I love that part. But now it's time to grow, you know, it's time to do something different. And like you said, music school, art school, vocational schools, trade schools, it helps.
I agree. And I think what I find slightly problematic in Albania is that the schools and the cultural centers are very centralized. So the peripheries don't get any of it, and they don't get instruction. If you're living in Tirana, which I had the chance to, and my parents are from there, I thought everyone had a chance to go to the theater and learn about art, music in school, but that was just a privileged setting to be able to do that because you're from the capital city. And someone from Pristina might have a similar experience, but someone from another city or in a rural area doesn't have that kind of exposure. So lessening and decreasing that divide of fairness and that disparity between regions or cities that are less than 15-20 minutes away from each other is very, very necessary. And I love that you mentioned that as well.
Yeah.
What else? So okay, Rock, what questions do you want to ask him about being Albanian? I know you had a few specifically for DJ Jack.
Let's see, because I asked
I
asked about an instrument earlier.
We'll go back. I'll have another one. Won't you remind?
Let's see. I don't know
those ones. If you're at an Albanian wedding, what's the first song that will get you up and dancing?
Volatile Ghost.
Gotta be Volatile
Me
Ghost.
too.
A very easy one. Because as a DJ, it's what I start with in anything I do. Because if I start with a song, I know everybody's gonna be like, oh, they're gonna be singing it or sitting on the side. With Volatile Ghost, you have no choice because of the melody and the beats to get up and dance.
Valiko Savare by Shpat Kasapi, the original.
That's a good one. That is a good one. That is a good one too. That one still gets people going. That gets Americans going, never mind Albanians.
I played that for my Arab friends, and when I lived abroad in Jordan, and they love it. They have a similar experience to what you mentioned about the Masari music, that they have nuances that are very similar, and they ask Arab, and you're like, no, it's actually Albanian, but a lot of similarities. And they're like, when are we going to Albania next? So that's why I love music. It has that diplomatic factor of introducing culture and aligning people.
But see, like you're saying, like your friends are like, I want to go to Albania, right? And you bring them there and they're like, this is cool, but like you guys are still kind of behind.
I think, yeah, definitely there's the development factor there, and development is centralized. Now, I wouldn't say everywhere is behind. That's also unfair, because I've met some of the brightest people and the most educated people in my life that come straight out of Albania. When it comes to tourism, when it comes to development and infrastructure, Albania itself proper, maybe some areas are a bit different, is going through a revolution of industry and engineering right now. The road to go from
I hope so. I really do.
Has become much easier and shorter, and that's also hand in hand has to do with the fact that there's so much investment going into tourism and becoming the center of.
Well, like I said, the southern part of Albania, like I saw a whole thing on how the tourists are going there, and they're building resorts and stuff, and that's great. But what about the northern?
What about the forgotten areas?
What about Dugagjini? What about Shkodër?
What about we're just in the mountains, like just
like it's tough because it's like the more north you go, the more beautiful it is. Don't get me wrong, but the mountains and everything,
are in the north for sure.
It's gorgeous, right? Like you got hiking and all these things that people come from all over the world to go hike over there, right? It's great. But like I said, you bring your friends over there and you bring them to like, Sarand, right? It's gorgeous there, right? It's beautiful. Like you can't go wrong. It's a beautiful sea that the ocean we have there, whatever it is. You go to the northern part and it's like, oh, this is cool, but like, why are people still have bathrooms outside, right? Like, like there is still places like that, and I think that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that they didn't develop, because I'm sure they are. It's, you want to bring someone to Albania, you want to show them history, and that's great. But what happens to the kids that are there, that are growing up, and they're seeing these tourists come look at their place, and they're like, yeah, I'm still kind of poor though.
Yeah.
Hey Jack, one quick thing.
Your
Your camera
It's
just froze.
frozen.
Oh shit.
That's like a loser sign right now. I don't know if that's your intention.
So what do I wait, what do I do?
Loser.
Hold on. Stop video, right?
You were literally like this.
You're like,
Loser.
Am I good now?
You're
Yeah,
good.
you're
You're
good.
good. No, I
Okay,
agree
okay.
100%. Rock, what was your question for Jack?
Oh, I really didn't have any more questions besides my last question, honestly, was where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years? If that's DJing, if it's a hobby. This is one of my favorite questions to ask people because a lot of people have different loves and besides what they just mainly do. So like, where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years with hobbies, with life, with family, with like, what's something you really want to do besides what you're doing right now?
I want to make a movie or a show. That is one of my biggest goals that I want to do in the next 3 to 4 years. I want to make a movie or a show, and I want it to be as professionally done as possible. So like when I say that I'm not going to do like, like it won't be a beginner's thing. It's something that I'm starting to learn, actually, like really learn scripts, whatever it is, production. I'm getting into that a little bit more, educating myself on that, and hopefully partner up with somebody, some kind of like production company to create that movie or show. That is one thing I do want to do in the next 3 years, on top of music, right? Like music, I still have a long way to go. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like people can see me now, they're like, you're successful, and I am, right? And success can be weighed in so many ways. But to me, I still haven't got to the point yet where I talked about before, where I want to create a whole bunch of talent from here. Because I hate that we have to go and say, hey, Noisy, Dorata Dora, come to America and we'll pay you money for Albanians to see you. Why aren't they saying that for artists here? Because we don't have any. You understand? Or we don't have any that are actually showing themselves for people to see. I want people from Albania, Kosovo to say, we're requesting as a fan base or as a population that person from America comes and performs over here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's my goal for the next 3 years, is definitely to help the community in that way, get us seen, get us heard, whether it's me and or somebody else, whatever it is. That's my goal. Make a show, make a movie, and make Albanian music go viral in America. That's one of the goals.
We'll create a show and a music and a movie.
Oh yeah, I have. I mean, listen,
and
it's cool now.
About this,
there's so many people to ask now, right? Like I can ask you guys, do you want to be in the movie, right? Like, and you guys would be like, absolutely. Why the hell not?
We talked about it one day.
We've been speaking about this, and a larger platform to stream a lot of Albanian media in the future as well, whether it be movies, shows, content creation. And
we're already doing it now. See, like you're talking about it. I'm talking about it. Why are we all in a room together with creatives? We'll get there.
This was an year ago, and look at the growth that Rock and I have had for the podcast, and getting so many Albanians right now in Albania, of course, but also here, that truly want to be on the podcast because they see how genuine it is and how unfiltered it is and what positive message we're trying to portray through it as well. I also like that you mentioned the fact that you want artists from here to be the ones that we also listen to a lot, and the ones that go back home and perform. And of course, no hate on anyone coming in from Albania. We literally love them, and we go to all of their.
No, yeah, of course.
I love Dorata. I think she's probably my favorite at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think I love her energy and how she is on stage and with her fans. But I've been to some of these events. I think we've both been to some of these events where performers have come and they've been in the game for so long, for decades, literally, and they're coming in from Albania and Kosovo, and they just don't have the same respect for the crowd who is in America, and they're the reason that they're getting paid. They're the reason that they have themselves booked for a specific event in America, and they will be reading the text of their music from their phone as they're performing, which I think is very disrespectful to the people that are awaiting you. But that culture can definitely be changed with new artists on the scene.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I'm saying that, is because, like, as much as we brought up before that I want to work with somebody from over there, why would I do that before I get to work with the people here?
Sure.
You know, like, I have opportunity. I can do it tomorrow if I want to. I can go and work with artists over there. It's no problem. I have to stay 3 to 4 months over there, get with artists, make music. It really is that simple, you know? The hardest part for me is getting the people here to be okay with, like, hey, do you want to make a song with me? Most of them are going to be like, I don't know, I'm afraid, or I don't know if I want to do Albanian music. I don't know if I don't know if I want to do an Albanian song. And I'm like, all right, I got to break the mold a little bit with some of the people that are making music here. And, the odds are against me. I'm going to be honest. Like, I'm in America, Rock knows this. I'm in America, and the people over there, when they see me, they're like, he's a kid from America. What does he need to do this for?
That's why I left and went there for 9 months to try to prove people wrong, bro. It's hard. It's really hard to do that.
It is. But that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I'm not gonna let them stop me from doing it.
Well, now
and I'm not gonna.
Sorry, not to cut you off.
Yeah, no, you're good.
That's why now we are building the platform, like, with ourselves. You're building your own platform on TikTok, and it's like, this is where now we start creating that, now we're able to kind of create that. So people are going to see that. And once they see that some of us, like me, you, Dea, people like this start connecting now, people are going to want to join that same.
Yeah,
for sure, dude. For sure. Because, like, I work with producers, right? Like, from Germany and Switzerland, and I talk to them, right? And they're like, man, Jack, like, if you're over here, like, they'll go crazy. Like, what you're doing is different, right? Even when they hear the production I'm making, right? And I show it to them and I give it to them, because I do co-produce with other producers, because there is a little bit of Albanian music that I don't know how to create, right? Like, a melody, like an Albanian melody, is not easy for me to create, but for the people over there, it comes natural to them. So I do co-produce with other people, right? And they're like, you know what? It's because you're in America. And I'm like, fuck that. Excuse my language, but fuck that. Like, I'm in America, but what I'm doing and what I feel, because I told you guys what my manifestation and what my dream was, is like, Albanian music is going to go viral, because I'm going to mix it in a way that's going to change the way people hear it, especially to the non-Albanian ear, And I don't think people have caught up to what I'm doing yet. I'm going to be honest. Like, it's going to take a while. Like you said with Noisy, right? You heard it and you were like, it's different. I don't understand. It's going to get to that point with my music, and I'll prove them wrong.
Let's make it happen.
Absolutely. We are going to prove them wrong.
I got to get my feet wet again, bro.
I think this reminds me,
got
not to extend this further, but because we know you have a lot of things to do in your new studio, but it reminds me of the come up story of one of my favorite artists right now, who is Burna Boy. And when Burna Boy came on the scene, 2017, 2018, really, that's when he started blowing up. No one knew the years of work that he put into his hustle and making Afro beats known. No one believed in it. They thought Afro beats was going to become just a local regional thing in West Africa or the African continent and not catch on as much. And it took the world by storm, and he ended up winning a Grammy in America. And he has many stories about how he came up from absolutely no encouragement and no support, and having to fund himself completely, and look where he is now.
And now everybody's using his music.
And there's there's Afrobeat songs coming out of Albania. Noisy made one, and I was like, this is great, this is interesting. And so I just see the same thing happening and believing in your vision. So
happen.
Yeah, and that's what I want to do. Like, I don't want to follow anybody's steps. I don't want to try to be like anybody. I'm not trying to be like anybody. I promise you that. I have forever been this way with my music. I've always thought it'll be some sort of Albanian English kind of like mix, and it will go viral one day. I don't care. I hate the word viral because it's like, it's not what I'm trying to do. It's like, I just want people to know.
Know it. Yeah.
Yeah, I want people to know, like, did you hear that song? It's like Albanian English. Like, it's so, I want people to talk about that.
Yeah.
With whoever it is. It could be any artist, it could be rock, it could be whoever. And that's all I want. That's it.
Excellent.
Awesome.
And do you have a few ideas in the works? You don't have to tell us exactly what they are, but should we expecting some beats to be dropping soon?
Yeah, I mean, this year, I God willing, everything goes right. I always have like a plan for the year, right? You always set up what you want to release, and Drop knows this. Like when you make a song, you're like, I'm gonna release this song, and then I'm gonna go with the song. I don't have a specific song, and even if I did, I wouldn't tell you.
Suspense, so it's fine.
Yeah. It's more like a suspense, and it's more the fact that like I don't want to give an unfinished idea or product out because it's false advertisement, and I'm not going to do that to people that actually were waiting for my music. But I did release a remix, and I plan on releasing the Masari remix if he allows that to happen, which I haven't talked to him about, but I've been in contact with him. And that's probably next, I would say. And we're going through like it's Easter, it's Ramadan, it's a lot of things going on. So right now it's not the time to release music, but definitely spring, summer, you should be expecting some music from me, music videos, and some cool things. So
Nice.
Excited for it.
yeah.
So happy.
And obviously shows, like I'll be performing in like Michigan and New York as well.
Yeah,
So
when's your next soonest show?
I believe it's near the end of April or the beginning of May. I have to look back. I'm not sure, but I will be in Connecticut. I think it's the end of April. I'll be in Danbury. There's a club there that Albanians opened up. I'm not sure if you heard about it.
So Danbury's like an hour from me, but
yeah. So they opened up Albanians have opened up a club over there. So they're trying to get the people of Connecticut to come out there. So I'll be performing there.
let me know.
Hopefully it goes well. Yeah, I'll keep everybody updated when the flyer comes out. Just follow me so you know what's going on.
DC.
Huh?
I'll take up another flight from Washington, DC.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you should just move to New York, Dea. Like, what are you doing with politicians?
I used to be in New York with the UN for a while. That was interesting. That was great. But the weather gets to me. I'm so Mediterranean that way that I think I need to be more southern down, like down in Florida, southern Florida, West Palm.
I mean, we would all love to be in Florida. Like, I don't know.
Let's have a production studio there.
You see New York, it's like, it's so depressing here in the winter. You don't want to stay here.
I get seasonal depression, so I feel you.
No, I think we all do. I mean, there was at one point we didn't see sun for like 3 weeks.
Vitamin D, you need to take vitamin D. It should be.
Yeah, I know. And then they wonder why we're crazy here in New York and pissed off all the time.
I take vitamin A through Z, bro. It still doesn't help.
you have to take everything here just to stay alive. But no, yeah. Do you have an Albanian community over there in Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, it's me and my two friends. It's great.
Our two friends.
Oh, you need.
It's great. Here's the thing, in Washington, it's a very international scene, right? So I love that, and I feel blessed to be able to have friends from the entire world. And every embassy that exists in the US is literally 20 minutes away from
That's
me.
awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. Really cool.
Much of a Middle Eastern vibe in the Virginia area, for example. A lot of different cultures kind of meshed into one. In terms of there being a Balkan scene, there is a Balkan scene, but it's not well organized, which is what I'm trying to do right now, and to connect people and to try to introduce some beats from all of our cultures in the Balkans.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. I'm just asking because it's like, I know that there's a question that everybody's like, would you leave New York? And I'm like, I don't think I can ever see myself leaving New York. It's home. And there's just so much of our culture here.
Yeah,
like it's became part of New York. Like if you go through New York, they know who Albanians are, and you're in the greatest city in the world, right? Whether contrary to whatever everybody else thinks, it is the greatest city in the world, right? And I can say that full-heartedly, and it's not because I'm from here, but because I've been to other places, and I'm like, it's just, there's something about New York, right?
I agree. There's something about
I hate it and I love it at the same time,
I feel about Connecticut.
Connecticut is awesome too, but it's so close to New York. It's like everybody knows what New York is over there. And if you left, listen, if you left New York, you went to Connecticut, you went to Jersey, you went to PA, wherever you went somewhere close by. You didn't go too far from the city because you wanted to be close to it.
We're forgetting about Massachusetts. Can we please rep Boston?
Yeah.
Where I grew up.
Massachusetts, yeah. I know there's a big Albanian community over there. Yeah. And I know it's a lot from the southern part of Albania, is my understanding. And it's awesome. It's cool. It's I know that's where the first Albanians, I believe, settled in America.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the first Albanian church, the Fanoli Church.
Yes.
Well, so
which is crazy. Yeah. But listen, New York has became a part of our culture and Albanians, and we've settled here for so long that I don't know. I just can't see myself leaving here. Maybe I could be lying. Maybe one day I do move out of here, but when you have family here, it's hard. You can't really go away from your family, and that's why I asked you, like, do you ever miss, the culture of outside of Albania? Obviously, you go to Albania, but when you come to New York, there's so much of
when she came to the Bronx, she goes, "What am I in Tehran?"
We were filming. We were filming one day in we had a couple partnerships there, and we were doing a couple of videos and interviewing people, and I could not believe my eyes. Essentially, I arrived in the Bronx and there were people sitting outside of all the coffees as if they were in Tirana at 3 p.m. on any given day, having coffee, talking for hours at a time. And we were shooting videos for 3 hours straight. We come back to the same spot. It's the same people sitting there and drinking their 1 cup of espresso. I was like,
one pack of cigarettes already gone.
This is
do you remember during the shutdown of the world? There was a video that went viral of the Albanian coffee shop in New York, and they were all outside and drinking coffee. And he's like, "We love to drink coffee. We drink coffee all the time. Nothing's gonna stop us, man. We're gonna drink the coffee, and nobody's gonna say anything." It's like,
I love it. Oh my god. Well, I mean, I don't love disrespecting regulations, but what I mean is, I love the attitude.
Okay, Washington D.C.
Yeah. Okay, President.
All right, President Deo, Vice President.
On that note, I just called you Vasel. That was it. Can you give us your best Vasel impersonation to tie up this video with?
I love it, everybody. I love it, you guys, for having me here to talk it with you, but you're taking too much of my time now, so I need to go. I have to go to work. Okay. The painting's not gonna fix itself. I have to fix it. All right. Guys, go to sleep. You probably have school tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Be good girl, because I swear to God, I kick your ass.
Oh no. Wait, again.
I have to get her out of here.
Albanian Dance.
Rock, get up and go to work.
I have to get her out of here.
Go make a
get out of here.
And go do your
I don't want to see your face no more.
Oh man, that's a good one.
Yeah. You know what's funny? The other day I was at a wedding, not the other day, maybe like 2 weeks ago, and I hear like 4 or 5 people like, "Mr. Vased, Mr. Vased," and I'm like, I'm DJing, guys. Like, this is like, I'm here. Like, so imagine to the people, they're like, "Is that guy a DJ? Like, his name is Vased." So one guy comes up to me, he's like, "Sia Yamir Vased. Very nice music, man." I said, "First of all, my name's not Vased." He's like, "But why everybody calling you Vased then, man?" I said,
God, I like that.
I was like, listen, I do an impression. Like, I can't even explain to some of the people that don't watch it, So like, I do an impression of an Albanian dad on TikTok, and they're called, "Oh, all right." And he walked away, like, no interest at all. Like, he didn't care. Yeah. But the people that were calling me because they're like, "You do such a great impression that you remind us of our dad," and it's unfortunate that he passed away, though their father. So like, I guess that was one of the things because they really wanted to, just tell me that. And that was cool, it was really cool. I thought it was awesome. So Mr. Vased is here to stay. I know go nowhere.
I think every Albanian father is just uniquely tied like this, but I think.
Oh yeah, dude, we all live the same lives. I don't care what anybody says. I tell everybody that. Like, you and me, we all of us, we grew up the same. If you grew up here in America, you grew up the same.
Especially if you're Albanian with Albanian parents, there's something about the nature of that household and the mannerisms and the jokes that is so specific to us, and we just catch on to it immediately.
But look, you know what's crazy? I was at a deli in Queens, and some kid is looking at me and he's staring at me, and I'm like, "Why is this guy staring at me?" You know, you're in New York, so I'm like, "Yo, is he trying to fight?" You know, you know. But I'm looking at him, he's looking at me. I'm like, "All right, whatever. I mind my business." I never like, you know, I'll never get to the point like, "Yo, why are you looking at me?" I don't do that, you know, unless I feel threatened. But I didn't. So I went outside, and he's like, "Dude, you do those funny videos on TikTok?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Bro." He goes, "I die laughing at that." He goes, "I have an Italian father. He came from Italy. He is the exact same way. So I watch your videos. I share it with my friends. I have Albanian friends. We're so similar. So we can't even say it's just us, because if you look at the Greeks, you look at anybody from the Balkans, you look at Italian, they have a very similar thing about them, you know?"
That's that part of the world.
Yeah, it really is very similar. Even Arabic, you know,
That's
Arabs
why
have
we're
told me
in tune with
before.
Borat, bro. That's why we're all in tune
Oh
with Borat.
no. Oh
Dude,
no.
I was
It's a different
obsessed with
podcast.
Borat. I was obsessed with him.
Me
Like,
too, bro. Me too.
dude, when he had the Ali G show, I was watching Borat since his first thing ever. So like, I think it's a little inspiration of Borat too, because it's like, you know, I think everybody can laugh at that.
Well, we love it. I think the whole Albanian community loves it. I think we love your music as well when you do all your DJ
Thank
sets.
you, guys. Appreciate it.
Especially during COVID, you had me on your show on a DJ set.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
That ever since that as well. And I want to say keep it up with everything you're doing. You're in it 18
Thanks,
years.
sir.
Don't stop. Keep doing your thing. I'm proud of you.
Appreciate it, man.
We're both proud of you. Everybody's proud of you.
Lots of love.
Thank you guys. Thank you so
Aw.
much. I really appreciate it. No, for real, thank you guys for having me on this, and continue doing what you're doing. You're inspiring people. I want to see more guests. I'll be tuning in, I'll be supporting, I'll be watching. You never know, maybe you have the next person that's going to do a song with me.
Never
Keeping it
know.
out there.
Who
Never
knows?
Butterfly
Who knows?
Who knows?
We'll
So
never
Yeah.
know. Never know.
we'll keep
You never know it, you know?
No,
You
never know.
No, thank you guys.
Again,
Seriously. Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you
Jack,
so
we'll
much.
see you soon. You will see
Absolutely.
all of us in some upcoming collabs and videos where we're going to be showing you a bit more of Mr. Vassel and potentially some other characters unlocked. And you can find DJ Jack on DJ Jack _ on Instagram, and also have his merch when it drops. I know I need that hat for sure.
Yes. I love it, you always, forever and ever.
Bro, have a great night. Thank you
Talk
so
to you
much.
Good night, guys. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Take
Peace and
care.
love.